Sofia Bennett had exactly one rule about blind dates: never trust her best friend's matchmaking instincts. She broke that rule on a Tuesday afternoon, sitting across from Anna Whitfield in their usual coffee shop, listening to a pitch that sounded suspiciously like a movie trailer. "He's basically untouchable," Anna said, stirring her latte with theatrical intensity. "Runs half the hospitality industry downtown. And get this, he saw you at the gala last month and hasn't stopped asking about you since." Sofia raised an eyebrow. "Asking who?" "Me, obviously. I'm your unofficial publicist." Anna grinned. "His name's Daniel. Daniel Cross. A little older, painfully reserved, but completely smitten. You just need to make the first move. Show him you're not intimidated." The moment Anna said the name, something strange happened. Translucent text bubbles began drifting across Sofia's vision, scrolling like a live stream chat, only she could see that it's real. There actually is a guy like that. The hospitality king himself, Damian Cross, CEO of Cross Hotels Group. Sofia blinked hard, but the comments didn't disappear. They never did, not since she was a teenager, not since the accident that left her with this bizarre ability to watch her own life unfold with running commentary from some unseen audience. She'd long since stopped questioning it and started, against her better judgment, listening to it. He's shy, not cold. You have to push. Show him you match his energy and he'll take it from there. So she did exactly that. Within a week she had tracked down a phone number, through her father's business contacts, no less, and began a relentless campaign of good morning texts, good night texts, and increasingly aggressive attempts to lock down a weekend dinner. The replies, when they came, were Arctic. "Got it. Thanks. Noted. Busy this weekend." Frustrated beyond reason, Sofia finally cracked and called Anna. "Did this guy really fall for me at first sight? Because nobody acts this cold to someone they supposedly can't stop thinking about." There was a long pause on the line. "Wait, what guy? Who are you texting?" "Damian. Damian Cross. The one you set me up with." "Sofia." Anna's voice had gone strange. "The guy I set you up with isn't named Damian. He's a friend of my cousin Marcus. I think his last name is Reed." The room seemed to tilt. "Reed," Sofia repeated numbly. "Not Cross." "I have literally never mentioned anyone named Cross in my life," Anna said. Sofia sat frozen, phone pressed to her ear, while the floating comments above her own field of vision dissolved into chaos. "Wait, not Damian Cross. We've been texting the actual CEO of Cross Hotels for 3 weeks and he wasn't even the guy. I genuinely thought there was no one else it could be." The timeline matched. The vibe matched. Anna never said, "corporate god." She said, "successful." We filled in the rest ourselves. The color drained from Sofia's face in roughly 5 distinguishable stages. She pulled up her contacts. There it was, pinned at the top, Damian. No connection whatsoever to anyone named Reed. "Wait," Anna said slowly, her tone shifting into dawning horror. "Cross. Damian Cross. Why does that name sound familiar?" she gasped audibly. "Oh my God. Are you talking about the CEO of Cross Hotels Group?" "Possibly." "Sofia, how did you even get his number?" "People say that man is a complete romantic ice wall. Everyone who's ever tried anything with him has been professionally and personally destroyed. He once had a junior exec transferred to the Anchorage branch for sending him a Valentine's card." Sofia's vision genuinely darkened at the edges. Her savings. Her future. Her father's company, which, she remembered with fresh nausea, was in the final stages of a joint development deal with Cross Hotels Group. Her phone buzzed. A photo appeared first, a sleek black gift box, unmistakably the watch she'd painstakingly chosen and shipped to Damian's office 2 days earlier, meant as a 1 month of talking milestone gift. Underneath it, 3 words. "You bought this?" Sofia stared at the screen, already composing her own obituary in her head. He hasn't called security yet. That's something. Another message arrived. Don't do this again. Her fingers flew across the keyboard. I'm so sorry, it won't happen again, just please return it. A pause. Return it? Or throw it away? Whatever's easiest. Seriously, my mistake. I'll never send anything again. A long silence stretched. Finally, whatever. What did whatever even mean? Sofia genuinely could not parse this man's tone, and the floating chat above her was no help at all. He's probably only tolerating this because of the joint venture with her father's firm, one comment offered. The big boss is giving her a pass. This once, but Sofia, take the hint. Pack a bag. Leave the continent, she wanted to scream. Now, they were telling her to run, after a month of insisting Damien Cross was secretly head over heels. She'd begged her father for his private number based entirely on this nonsense. She'd sent the man a dozen of those obnoxious, "I know you're obsessed with me" reaction memes within the first week of texting. Thinking about it made her want to spontaneously combust on the spot. Anna, watching Sofia's face cycle through several shades of existential dread, narrowed her eyes. Okay, what aren't you telling me? Sofia took a deep breath. So, hypothetically, I have a friend. You don't have other friends. Hypothetically. She spilled the entire story under the thin disguise of third-person narration. When she finished, Anna grabbed both her hands with the gravity of someone delivering a terminal diagnosis. Block him. Delete the number. Tell your hypothetical friend to leave the country. The only reason he's putting up with this is the deal with her dad's company, and that goodwill has a limit. You know what they say, a quiet man is either building an empire or planning a murder. Probably someone else's. Probably hers. Sofia stood, grabbed her purse with the dignity of a woman walking to her own execution, and announced she was relocating to the southern hemisphere for the summer. She hadn't made it out of the coffee shop before her phone rang. Her father. Bennett Construction's wrapping up the resort project with Cross Hotels, he said, voice practically vibrating with parental scheming. There's a celebration dinner next week. Damien will be there. Play your cards right, sweetheart. Play her cards right. Sofia was fairly certain she was about to be played directly off the table. Also, her father continued, oblivious to her internal screaming, I need you to drop some signed contracts at his office tomorrow morning. See how I think of you. The floating chat tried, weakly, to be reassuring. Don't panic. The deal isn't finalized. He won't nuke her father's company before the ink dries. Just be on perfect behavior tomorrow. Drop the files. Sprint. Do not provoke the ice wall. Fair enough. Valid strategy. The next morning, Sofia completely overhauled her wardrobe philosophy. Out went anything remotely flirtatious, in came the most modest, unthreatening cream-colored dress in her closet. She arrived at Cross Hotels Group's headquarters looking, she hoped, like a woman who had never once sent an unhinged 2 a.m. text in her life. The receptionist recognized her instantly and reached for the phone to call up to the private executive elevator. No, please, Sofia said quickly. The regular elevator's fine. She walked toward the main bank like a perfectly normal, non-delusional visitor. The doors slid open. Standing directly in the hallway, in a charcoal suit that looked tailored by people who hated him personally for being that photogenic, was Damien Cross himself. Sofia. His voice was low, controlled. He looked genuinely surprised to see her stepping out of the employee elevator. What are you doing here? She summoned her most polite, emotionally neutral corporate smile. Just delivering some documents, Mr. Cross. Something flickered across his face, gone before she could name it. His jaw tightened slightly. You can verify with my father, she added quickly, holding out the folder. He didn't take it. His dark eyes stayed locked on hers. Did you just call me Mr. Cross? She blinked. What else would I call you? A beat of silence. He shifted his weight. Why didn't you take the private elevator? Did my assistant not come down? No need to bother anyone. The regular one works fine. Sofia was already calculating her exit route. He clearly expected another strike, a comment noted. She didn't give him an opening. Interesting. Wait in my office, he said. In the past, the texting-only past, the now mortifying past, Sofia would have invented increasingly ridiculous reasons to get herself alone in that office. She had once claimed low blood sugar specifically to nap on his private sofa. Now she would rather have stepped into oncoming traffic. No, really, I'm good, I actually have somewhere to be. Where? It wasn't a question. It was an order disguised as one. Meeting a friend, she managed. His frown deepened, and he opened his mouth to push further, when a sharp chime sounded behind them. The private elevator. Sofia turned, startled. She was standing next to the CEO and definitely hadn't summoned it. The polished doors opened, and a woman stepped out in a fitted scarlet dress, lips painted to match, smile already aimed squarely at Damien. Damien, the woman in red said, gliding forward as though Sofia were a piece of lobby furniture. Were you waiting out here just for me? I found this incredible new place, let's grab lunch. He didn't answer her. Instead, his hand closed around Sofia's elbow, drawing her half a step closer to him, his voice dropping low and private. Go wait in my office. The woman finally seemed to register that Sofia existed. And who is this? Damien opened his mouth to introduce her, but Sofia's survival instincts fired first. I'm just a business associate. She gave him a crisp nod. Mr. Cross, I really should go. I hope the project goes smoothly. Stop. His face had gone carefully blank, a muscle ticking in his jaw. He tilted his head toward a set of heavy doors down the hall. Wait in there. It was not a request. Terrified of pushing whatever this was further, Sofia obeyed, perching on the edge of an obscenely expensive leather sofa like a kid sent to the principal's office. Then her eyes caught something on the desk and her stomach dropped. A small, deeply ugly ceramic raccoon figurine sat front and center between a silver pen set and a leather folio. The exact one she had impulsively bought weeks ago, declared hideous, and shoved into Damien's hands as a joke during a brief, panicked encounter she'd half-blocked from memory. She had been entirely certain it had gone straight into a trash can in the parking garage. It hadn't. It was sitting on what was probably one of the most expensive desks in the financial district, looking deeply, gloriously absurd. Why does that feel like a warning? A comment mused. Like a king keeping the skull of an enemy. A daily reminder to never let his guard down around unhinged women again. Cold dread settled over Sofia. She stood, crept toward the desk, and reached for the figurine, intent on destroying the evidence before it could be used against her in whatever was coming next. The door opened. What are you doing? She spun around. Damien stood in the doorway of his own office, jacket still immaculate, looking at her exactly the way one looks at someone caught red-handed with their fingers on your belongings. Her fingers, very literally, were on his belongings. The floating comments lit up instantly. Put it down, girl. She's about to attempt an explanation. I need a cold compress and possibly a priest. Sofia started. Nothing useful followed. Damien walked in and closed the door behind him, stopping roughly 3 feet away, a distance that felt either deeply tactical or entirely accidental, and studied the figurine in her hand with an expression she could not begin to categorize. What are you doing? He said again. Still calm. Calm was somehow worse than shouting. The honest answer involved a floating comment chat convincing her he kept the raccoon as a trophy of his own restraint. The answer she actually gave was, I thought it was mine. Silence. You thought, he said slowly, my desk decoration belonged to you. I gave it to you. I assumed you'd thrown it away. I was just, taking it back. Longer silence. Sweetheart, a comment said gently, look at where it's sitting. Center of the desk. Prime real estate. It is not in a trash can. Sofia looked. It was true. Not in a drawer. Not tucked behind a monitor. Center stage, between the pens and the folio. You gave it to me, Damien said quietly. Yes. I didn't think you wanted it, so I put it back. She put it back, hands faintly trembling, and shoved them into her pockets so he wouldn't notice. He sat down behind the desk, which somehow made the entire situation more formal and therefore worse, and folded his hands, the raccoon sitting between them like an ugly mediator. The texts, he said. Every functioning brain cell Sofia owned evacuated the premises. I want to apologize for those. All of them. The good mornings, the memes, the watch, I know it was inappropriate, and it won't. Was it bothering me? She stopped. What? He looked at her steadily. The texts. Was it bothering me? Wait. Wait. Is that a trick question? Why phrase it like that, like he's looking for the answer? Like he genuinely doesn't know? Sofia had no idea what the correct response was. Every instinct screamed trap. This was a man rumored to have ended careers over far less. I assumed it was, she said carefully. You assumed. He paused. I meant the watch. It was too expensive. Her brain fully short-circuited. He hadn't been telling her to stop texting. He'd been telling her to stop spending. The door opened without a knock. Red dress. She entered like she owned the floor, which, given the elevator access, Sofia was beginning to suspect was not far from true. Am I interrupting? Her tone did not suggest she believed she was. Yes, Damien said flatly. The woman's smile held a beat too long, like a loading screen that hadn't caught up to new information. Damien, she recalibrated. I've been waiting. You can wait a little longer. He didn't even look up. We weren't finished. Did he just, he told her to wait. The woman with the private elevator code and he just, context shift. Major context shift in progress, the woman's gaze swung to Sofia, newly sharpened. I don't think we've properly met. Sofia. Someone had to say something. She's a guest, Damien said. One word. The temperature in the room dropped several degrees. A guest, the woman repeated. Of course. Damien's always so hospitable. Sofia pressed her lips together hard enough to hurt. Do not say anything. Do not say a single word. I should get going, she finally managed. I've taken up enough of your time, Mr. Cross. Damien. His voice was precise. You've been calling me Mr. Cross since you walked in. We've had a month of conversation. Stop. The woman in red's composure did something it clearly was unaccustomed to doing. It cracked. A month. He just said that out loud. In front of her. He is currently, calmly, publicly establishing a timeline. I should still. Sofia. Her name, said quietly and completely, somehow filled the entire room. Sit down. She sat. The woman watched the sofa, then Damien, then announced she'd reschedule lunch and left without waiting for a reply. Sofia stared at the closed door. She has the private elevator code. Family business associate, Damien said. Nothing more. He'd volunteered that. Unprompted. Somebody sedate me, a comment offered weakly. I require medical attention. The celebration dinner was the following Friday. Sofia spent the entire week executing what she privately named Operation Model Behavior. Tasteful navy dress, zero personality. Talking points prepared in advance. She practiced saying, Mr. Cross, in the mirror until it felt natural again, fully aware this guaranteed she'd default to Damien the moment she walked in. Anna, briefed on increasingly wild summaries of the situation, was unhelpfully supportive. He kept the raccoon. Yes. The one you literally threw at him as a joke. Yes. And told you to keep calling him Damien. Yes. The best friend gets it, a comment chimed in approvingly. Listen to the best friend. Sofia ignored everyone, including the version of reality that kept insisting this all meant something. Damien was at the dinner, naturally, it was his deal closing. He stood with her father near the bar, both men radiating the specific comfort of powerful people quietly sizing each other up. Her father spotted her and waved with the energy of a man who believed he had personally architected his daughter's future. Monica, Sofia, he corrected himself, beaming. You remember Damien. Mr. Cross, Sofia said. Damien's jaw shifted, almost imperceptibly. Sofia, he said. Her father, thrilled by this apparent rapport, announced he'd let them catch up and fled with the subtlety of a man escaping his own living room. Mr. Cross, Damien repeated, clearly, the second they were alone. It's a work dinner. It's professional. You sent me a meme at 2 a.m. calling me your future trophy husband. Her face cycled through several colors at once. That was different. How? I was delusional. A long pause. Were you? Is he asking if she's still delusional? Because that is not the tone of someone who thinks she was wrong. That is the tone of someone asking a real question. Before Sofia could process that, a microphone tapped to life and dinner was announced. The room shuffled toward the tables. The woman in red was seated at table 3, directly facing Damien's table. Coincidence, Sofia strongly doubted. She spent the first course making prolonged eye contact across the centerpiece. Damien spent the first course discussing infrastructure permits with Sofia's father, apparently unaware he was being targeted by, their table directly, pausing just behind Damien's chair under the thin pretense of greeting someone across the room. Damien. Her voice had warmed by a full degree. I hope the seating isn't too far from the stage. I could have arranged something closer. I'm comfortable, he said, without turning. Her eyes cut to Sofia. Sofia, was it? A smile, all teeth. I've actually been meaning to ask, I saw some interesting messages recently. Mutual contacts, you understand. These things circulate. Sofia's blood went to ice. Oh no. She didn't. She actually went for the messages. The woman produced her phone, screen angled just enough for the nearby end of the table to see. The screenshots were unmistakable, the month of good mornings, the increasingly unhinged memes, the watch confirmation, every cringe-worthy artifact of Sofia's worst month alive. I just thought, the woman said pleasantly, loud enough to carry, the table might find it amusing. Someone in Sofia's position being so forward with a man like Damien. A few heads turned. Sofia's father went very still. Anna, who had materialized from somewhere, gripped her napkin hard enough to leave creases. Damien set down his fork. The table went quiet. He reached over and took the phone with unhurried calm. The woman didn't resist, nobody resisted Damien Cross doing anything calmly. He looked at the screen for a long moment, then lifted his gaze to the table. To her father. To Anna. To Sofia. Yes, he said clearly, into the silence. She sent me all of these. He scrolled. Good morning texts, every day. I read them before work. Another scroll. Good night texts. Before sleep. He paused. The memes. I saved them. He set the phone down and turned his wrist, where a sleek black watch caught the light. The entire table looked at it. I wore it. The woman in red stood there with nothing in her hands now, her smile entirely offline. She didn't harass me, Damien said, picking his fork back up. She was honest. Nobody discouraged her, because nobody had a reason to. We're fine. Thank you for your concern. The table resumed eating. The woman walked back to table 3 without another word. Sofia. Sofia, he just laid the entire month out on a silver platter and called it fine. He said she was honest. That is a man saying something without saying it. Get him. Her father was looking between them with the dawning realization that he'd accidentally become a matchmaker. Later, on the side terrace, away from the noise, Sofia stood with her shoes off and her feet aching, trying to process the last 2 hours of her life. Damien found her 4 minutes in. She'll be fine, he said, looking at the skyline, not at her. That's not what I was thinking about. What were you thinking about? Why didn't you tell me to stop? At the very beginning, before any of this got out of hand. He was quiet for a moment. At first I thought you were strange. Fair. Then I started waiting for your messages. She held her breath. He turned to look at her, and at this distance, no phone screen, no desk between them, Damien Cross was almost impossible to look at directly and entirely impossible to look away from. You sent a good morning text every single day. I started checking my phone first thing, for the first time in years. Because of you. I chased the wrong man, Sofia said. Something shifted in his expression, not quite a smile, but adjacent to one. Then keep making that mistake. I have left my body. He just told her to keep chasing the wrong man, because to him, she chased the right one. Somebody hold me. The raccoon, Sofia said, because apparently her brain produced whatever thought was nearest whenever it was overwhelmed. What about it? You kept it. You gave it to me. I thought it was ugly. It is ugly, he said. I kept it anyway. She looked at him for a long moment. Damien, she said, and for the first time it came out completely naturally, which, technically, it had been, in a month of texts. Yes. You could have just told me. Asked, even. I was terrified. A pause. So was I. Months later, Sofia walked into his office with the private elevator code memorized, the raccoon still sitting on the desk exactly where it had always been, the watch still on his wrist. You kept all of it, she said, looking at the desk, the figurine, the watch, the corner of his phone screen where she could just make out the first meme she'd ever sent him, saved. You sent all of it, he said. Fine, the last comment offered. We admit we were wrong about basically everything. He was never the ruthless CEO waiting to destroy her. He was just a man who didn't know what to do with someone completely, chaotically herself. Technically, Sofia said, this is all the chat's fault. They told me you fell for me at first sight. I hadn't, Damien said. I saw you at a gala and thought you seemed interesting. That's basically the same thing. It is not the same thing. Damien. Sofia. A pause. You wore, I wore the watch. She decided, on balance, that this was the most devastating sentence anyone had ever said to her.